Hi ladies, if you are feeling a bit overwhelmed with working full-time and assisting your kids with remote learning, you are not alone. In today's video, I am going to share with you some schedule tips so you can organize your time to be productive but also stay sane at the same time. My name is Marta and I am here to help you manage your household as a working mom. So if you are looking for ways to simplify your routines, your systems, and household responsibilities so you can spend less time on those things and more time with your family and doing what you love to do, then make sure that you subscribe and like this video and tell me below about any topic suggestions for the future. Let's get into the video. So the very first tip that I have for you is to wake up early. I know it's not something you want to hear, but hear me out on this. So I know one of the challenges that I have as a working mom during this quarantine situation is to make sure that I do my job, that I still am productive, that I'm still meeting my deadlines. And it is much harder to do when you have kids at home and they need some help with remote learning, or if they're younger, with just keeping them preoccupied. So what I have been doing from the very beginning is I wake up early and start my workday about 2 hours before I am scheduled to do so. And I use that time to knock out any priorities that I have for that day. Because this is the only time of the day that I have that's uninterrupted, where nobody's asking me questions, when I can fully concentrate and do everything that I need to get done for that particular priority. So if I have a lot of meetings later on, if I get interruptions, at the end of the day, I still feel satisfied with the amount of work I have done because all the important things are getting done. So if getting up early is completely not an option for you, for example, if you are a night owl, then maybe have that uninterrupted time late at night. But for me, I am a morning person, so waking up early makes perfect sense for me. Tip number 2 that I have for you is to make sure that you have some sort of routines. The 3 big ones for me are morning routine, evening routine, and a cleaning routine. So I'm gonna make sure to link them down below in the description box. So if you are interested in any of them, make sure you check them out. Now, when I say routines, I don't mean like a structure where everything is in a specific hour. I just mean a general idea of what needs to get done within that, let's call it the time block, a morning time block, an evening time block, and a cleaning time block. It is very helpful, especially for your kids. So they know, for example, in the morning that before, let's say 9 o'clock, they have to get dressed, brush their teeth, and eat their breakfast. It sounds simple, but if kids are aware that that is the routine, it's gonna make your morning run much smoother. And then having a cleaning routine, that's gonna help you with household management, because then you know what you have to get done each day. And again, it makes things much easier and run smoother. And that leads me to the third tip, which is a school routine. Now, I have a school schedule for my kids. However, it is broken down by every hour, but this is more of a guideline. So I basically have 2 non-negotiables in there. One is a morning school time, which starts at 9 o'clock, and the other one is an afternoon school time, which starts at the latest at 2 o'clock. My school routine is more to have an idea of what they can do. School is non-negotiable. Everything else in there, it's kind of if they feel like it. If they are bored and they're like, well, I don't know what to do, I just refer them to the list and say, hey, you can do Play-Doh, you can do some magnets, you can do X, Y, and Z. And it kind of helps them get in that set of mind and start doing something. So here is why a very strict scheduling routine might not work for you when school is concerned. If you are like me, I have a lot of meetings and I have a lot of projects and a lot of tasks that are assigned either last minute or I don't have much warning. So I cannot really plan ahead every single day to be the same when my work day is not the same. So be flexible with your schedule. I have those 9 negotiables for school. I want school to start at 9. That is when my son knows that he needs to start his schoolwork. I give him the assignment and that's what is happening. However, everything else, we can work around that. Especially for my daughter. She's 4, she doesn't really have any schoolwork. So what I do for her is I do some printables and I give it to her as needed throughout the day. Which leads me to the next point, which is meetings. Those are probably the most stressful times of the day for me, when I have a meeting and when I have to present something. So when I know that that meeting is happening, that is when I kind of pull everything together so I can have that quiet time. So at that time is a good time for kids to be preoccupied with schoolwork if they know what needs to be done. This is the time when I'm gonna pull any worksheets or any art projects for my daughter, so because I know it's gonna keep them preoccupied. So keep those meetings in mind when you are scheduling your day. Now, if nothing is working, meaning you have a meeting, you know you have to concentrate, and your kids are either don't wanna do what you tell them to do, or like for example, my son, he starts working on an assignment and he realizes he is not sure what to do and he has some questions, and I know I cannot answer those questions, I'll just tell him either move on to something else or take a break, go play, go on your electronics, do whatever you need to do, but I need to have that meeting right now, so I need to concentrate. So have that as an option. You can run to that scenario with your kids so they are prepared for it, but those are the times where you're kind of going to have to be more flexible and don't rely on a very strict schedule. Which brings me to another point, which is electronics. Now, in our household, we really don't limit electronics. Now, that might be very unconventional, that might be controversial, but we don't really limit that. So what I mean by that is, no, they still have to get their schoolwork done. They still have to go to sleep at the appropriate time. They still have to go outside and things like that. But during the workday, when I have to get things done and they seem to be preoccupied with an electronic, they can do that. Now, I will say that my kids don't play video games. They play on some apps and they're all educational, which I think is why I don't mind it as much. If they are preoccupied with a show, I am fine with that as well, especially if it's a day when I really need to do a lot of work. And a caveat to that is, you know your kids. You know when there is such a thing as too much electronics. So I'll give you an example. My daughter, so she is fine when she's like using an app or if I turn on a TV show for her. If I turn on like a YouTube for her and she gets to, watch different cartoons over there, that is when I have to limit her time, because then I see her behavior is changing, she's becoming cranky, I don't know what it is, but that is the time when I know I'm gonna limit that. Otherwise, we are not very strict with electronics. Now, the next tip I have for you, especially for those younger kids. So like my daughter is 4 years old. She doesn't have any schoolwork. I give her some of those worksheets, but for the most part, she does play with her toys. So what I will do is I will suggest a different toy each day, if you will. So one day if she is bored, doesn't know what to do, I'm gonna say, hey, you know what, you have a whole drawer full of puzzles, why don't you do some puzzles? The next day I'm gonna be like, maybe it's time to do some painting or some Play-Doh. And that way those activities are kind of rotating so she doesn't get bored with them. And that has been very helpful for us because she stays preoccupied longer. If I pull everything out for her each day, one, she takes forever to make any decision, and two, it's kind of like every day is the same and she gets bored easily. So if you have little ones, try to rotate those activities and find something that they really like and kind of try to expand on that. So for my daughter, she is obsessed with cutting things out. I don't know, scissors are her best friend lately. So when I print some stuff from different websites, I try to print stuff when she has to cut something out and glue on the other page, and that tends to get her preoccupied the most. So get to know what kind of activity your child likes and then make sure you stick to that activity, just find the different ones. Tip number 7 is to go outside as much as you can. Now, if your kids are old enough that they can play outside by themselves, if your yard is fenced in and you don't have any safety concerns, let them go out and play by themselves. So my son will a lot of times ask to go outside by himself, and he is definitely allowed to do that. My daughter, she can still go with him if she wants, but she prefers to go with either my husband or me when we are there. So oftentimes it's just my son playing by himself outside if he wants to. We make it a point to go for a walk at lunchtime. Now, it doesn't always work out. Sometimes we have meetings with my husband from the morning until we are done working. And in that case, it is what it is. But if we have that lunch time, we make sure that we go for a walk so they can get some fresh air. It's good for them and it's good for us. So we try to do that. And then when the work day is over, we do the same thing. And that is something you really have to keep in mind, because even though we are now with kids all day long, right? We are not really with them. We help them here and there with their homework, or their schoolwork, we help them with some crafts, but we are not still really with them because mentally we are at work. So once that work day is over, we do make it a point to be present, to play what they want to play, to really spend that family time together so they don't feel left out, because that is kind of a misconception that we are at home so we don't have to be with them. So just keep that in mind and really help them, because it's hard for them too. I mean, they are at home, but they don't get that attention from us anymore. So keep that in mind and spend as much time with them after the workday is done as you can. And the last tip that I have for you is to get your family more involved with all the chores and household responsibilities. So it is a tip that I have heard, I think, from Jordan Page, where she said, you know what, now that we are home all the time, it is a perfect time to teach them about some of the household responsibilities. So my kids have been helping a lot with cooking. It's just something they want to help out with, so I let them, even though it might take me longer. But this is a perfect opportunity for us to do so, because when school was in session and we were working and they were coming home, there were different types of activities, there really was very limited time for that. And I feel like now we have a bit of extra time after the school and work they are done. So take that opportunity. Teach them how to do some chores, teach them how to cook or how to bake or whatever else. But get them involved so down the road they can take over some of those responsibilities sooner rather than later. So it frees up sometimes for you as well. So those are all the tips I have for you. I hope you'll enjoy them. Make sure if you have any additional ones that you share them down below in the comments. And make sure that you are subscribed, that you like this video, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching.